Well, I would say Benavidez, but he's too, that weight class is too high for him. So, where he's at now is great.
David, do you think Crawford will fight you if he beats Canelo?
Nah, I wouldn't fight Crawford. I'm at 175.
And Terrence Crawford, no, they ain't doing that fight. Maybe planning on vacating the belts?
No, we ain't gonna vacate the belts.
Not long after the fight, when asked about Turki Alalshikh's idea that Terrence Crawford and David Benavidez should fight next, coach Brian Bulmermack McIntyre caused a stir. Bulmack simply turned down the idea, saying that Crawford didn't need that kind of matchup right now.
Just gonna sit where we need to sit for a minute, and then, just like I said, get back in the gym and do our thing.
Ennis, absolutely.
And he don't want none.
He also informed fans that he believes fighting Boots Ennis would not benefit Canelo, as Crawford is a completely different challenge than Ennis.
What does this performance prove about the Ennis sparring? You guys were largely
I told you it don't make no difference. Didn't I say it? I said that don't mean shit. I don't give a damn about that. Yeah. I said that, didn't I? In one of those interviews, I said that. Don't mean shit, because he's no Bud Crawford. I'm not taking nothing from Ennis, Bozy, them over there, them my guys. Shit, but bringing in that, which is good for Canelo, but it didn't do no good in the fight.
Alalshikh had started the whole conversation about Benz. A big name in Saudi boxing posted, "Congratulations to Terrence," just hours after Crawford's historic win. As a way to enjoy his historic win, Bud Crawford won the undisputed super middleweight belt. This made him the first fighter to be undisputed in 3 different weight classes. A big thank you also goes out to Saul Alvarez Canelo for a fantastic show. Then, as if hinting at the next move on the chessboard, he asked a question that Mata tweets about fighting go crazy. Can David Benavidez still make 168 pounds? He asked in the note. Greg Hackett discussed the recent rumors regarding a potential fight between Terrence Crawford and David Benavidez. He said this wasn't the final ruling on a previous match, and that it seemed to be driven more by money and fame than by fairness. Hackett pointed out that Crawford didn't need Benavidez to validate his job, and that Benavidez would hurt his body if he tried to lose 168 pounds after gaining 175.
That's his limits, and they think the money is going to keep getting him out there. That fight is pointless. The fight is pointless because nobody ever talked about that fight until now. And then I don't feel like Bud needs a Benavidez. And then that would mean Benavidez would have to go into a different body and bring himself back down to 68 when he's already getting settled in at 174.
One question that people had about the match was whether Crawford could move up in weight class. Many experts said he was already a 4-division world winner. He wasn't really, though. The adult Chow boss, who was a boxing commentator and YouTube expert, kept asking Crawford if his job deserved all the attention. Some people have always said that Crawford never faced enough top-level competition or proved himself at the highest levels.
I believe Benavidez had some tough tasks in front of him that he wanted to conquer before even talking like that. I don't even think he wanted to talk like that because there's really no point. He wanted the Canelo fight because Canelo was the man at 68. He was at 68. I don't think he cared about fighting Bud, and I don't think Bud cared about fighting Benavidez. That's just Turkey trying to pull rank. So Turkey trying to show he got a golden arm.
The narrative failed to highlight the positive aspects of this historic fight, resulting in one of the sport's most renowned winners gaining weight and experiencing emotional distress. Crawford was able to get even his most devoted opponents to think again about his impact. In an honest and memorable way, Chalbaz was able to show how things changed in the hours after the war.
Crawford is top 4 greatest fighters of all time. Do you understand how improbable this is? I thought Bud had no chance. I lost 20 grand. Not only is Terrence Crawford on my Mount Rushmore, like I said, if he were to win, because the probability of him winning against all the odds, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see how at all.
Bud moved up 2 weight classes to 168 pounds and won all 4 major titles in that division. He was the first man to be an undisputed winner in 3 different weight classes. No one else has broken that record. So, even though Crawford wasn't really a 4-division undisputed winner, he did do some amazing things that made him stand out. Many people were shocked when Canelo Alvarez said something brave at the press conference after his loss to Terrence Crawford by majority decision. Instead of avoiding the question, he praised Crawford and said Bud was better.
the class he put together, that guy, he can face anybody in history and be a problem. Him right there. Not only that, I think this cements the fact that everybody avoided him. This right here answers everything. Not only is Terrence Bud Crawford on my Mount Rushmore, but everybody avoided him. And that sheds more light on how he beat Errol Spence.
Adon Raphael, a longtime boxing reporter, shared his thoughts on the fight between Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. If you ask Raphael, a journalist and observer of the sport for decades, what struck him most about the fight was Crawford's ability to take control near the end of the stretch. He said that Canelo had won the first rounds.
And compare and contrast the fight between yourself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and tonight's bout with Terrence Bud Crawford, if you can.
No, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
Dan Raphael's response strengthened Crawford's case by focusing on how important his win was in history. He told Crawford that he didn't want this fight, but that it was one that he had always wanted and had worked hard to make happen. Raphael says that Cornell Crawford didn't get many chances to fight someone bigger than him because many people didn't think the fight was possible.
I thought he did a great job. I thought it was close. I had Canelo ahead in the early going, but I thought Crawford did an amazing job closing that fight down in the last few rounds, where he really started to back the supposed bigger guy up, although for me, they looked about the same size. But that was a brilliant performance.
A well-known boxing reporter and ringside commentator named Sean Zittel talked about Terrence Crawford's fame and how much it has grown since his win over Canelo Alvarez. Zittel said that he has known for a long time that Crawford is a great boxer. In 2017, he named Crawford the best pound-for-pound fighter, but he has never put him in the same category as the sport's greatest stars.
Did a lot of history. He dreamt this fight. He willed it to happen. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people laughed at him, said, forget about it, no chance against a bigger guy like that. Canelo, because everybody who has ever read me, followed me, listened to me knows I love Canelo. I think he's one of the greats of all time. I think you can make a really good argument that he's the greatest Mexican of all time, even more than Chavez. That said, he is in decline. He's been in decline for the last few years. He hasn't been what we've seen him at his best since he beat Caleb Plant, that Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Sanders time frame. And, even though he's winning fights, the knockouts haven't happened. He's gotten tired in the later part of the fights, and it's just common. It's the oldest saying in boxing: "Father Time is on the."
Zittel then said bad things about Crawford's technical work in the fight with Canelo. He thought Crawford had taken the power with ease and shown a level of punch resistance that was unmatched in this weight class. Zittel says that Canelo lost his flow during the fight, and Crawford started the third and fourth rounds with a jab and went on to master the fight.
I had Crawford #1 pound for pound back in 2017. I always acknowledged him as the best counterpuncher in the game, one of the great counterpunchers, but I didn't see him as Sugar Ray Leonard, Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson. I didn't see him as that. I saw him as the tier of greats right below that. Oscar, Shane, Mike McCallum, guys like that. And it turns out, no. He's with the best of the best.
It was clear that Canelo Alvarez would use his size, knowledge, and strength to his advantage before the fight even started. An important fact that got a lot of notice was that Canelo had been the champion before and knew what to do when he was under pressure. Canelo Alvarez also talked to his fans on Instagram after his loss to Terrence Crawford. Instead of complaining, he accepted the setback and focused on his future. His happiness at his team's wins, the sacrifices he made for them, and his thanks to his family and friends who never gave up on them were all things he talked about. He made things worse between him and his wife Fernanda, who stuck by his side the whole time. With the description, he wrote, "I'm so proud of everything I've done so far. While you always want to win, I'm happy to lose and ready to learn from it. For all the things we've given up over the years, I'm thankful for my team. I've already won because my family is by my side and my friends have never stopped cheering for me." He kept thanking his family, especially his wife, for being there for him during these tough times. He then said, "Finally, I want to thank my wife Fernanda for being so patient and holding my hand through this whole thing. Good luck in Mexico, Mom." Also, the winner, the experienced Terrence Crawford, showed a rare sign of defiance at a news conference after a memorable fight with Canelo Alvarez. He got frustrated with and made fun of a reporter who had attacked him in front of cameras before. This wasn't just a game. Crawford was facing the story that the media had been telling about him for a long time.
Took effect on Crawford. I know Crawford felt it, but he had good punch resistance. He came up in weight beautifully. And then as time went on, his jab and his length, it's around that third and fourth round, really started to give Canelo fits. And then, number one, his bread and butter, his gift. Yes, he's got great tactics, great distance control, efficient footwork. He doesn't, and he took the air out of the ball when he wanted to in this.
Years ago, boxing experts and reporters told him that he wasn't interesting, couldn't draw an audience, and only fought unremarkable opponents. Crawford yelled these criticisms out loud at the news conference because he is now on the biggest stage in the sport and hasn't just had to defend himself to those who don't like him.
Became a 3-time undisputed champion, the first ever in the 2, 3, or 4 belt era, and you became the second undisputed champion in 3 weight classes when there was only one champion back in 1938 with Henry Armstrong. That's a lot of stuff.
You hear that? You hear that?
When Canelo, the clear champion, went to protect his title, everything was on the line. It's not just about belts, but also about personalities. He would no longer be the king if he lost, and he would leave the arena without the fame that had made him famous. The judges all agreed that Crawford was the winner, making him the undisputed super middleweight champion. It made Canelo lose all his belts in that category, and, in history's eyes, his title as undisputed king, or at least some of it. Jai Opetaia, the Australian cruiserweight world champion, spoke out right away after Canelo Alvarez's epic win over Terence Crawford. Opetaia spoke with obvious respect and said that he had given Crawford the fight and thought the result was clear.
All of it. It all goes hand in hand.
Can you describe what it all means to you to have, you just made like a whole resume of stuff tonight.
It means a lot to me because, anybody can be a nobody, like I said, and that's all they say I've been fighting is nobodies. So what can they say now?
It was impossible to beat Canelo, though, unless power was a big part of the fight. Early tests showed that it hurt when he fell cleanly, especially on his body, or when he could get close to Crawford. The former heavyweight king Lennox Lewis has a simple response to Terence Crawford's amazing fight with Canelo Alvarez. Lewis liked the fight as a whole, but thought Alvarez didn't put in enough effort. Instead, he said that he thought the Mexican star would throw more punches and move faster. Alvarez has usually had trouble with fluid players like Crawford.
I had him in front. I thought it was convincingly enough. I thought he won, so what a fight.
This is what Lennox Lewis had to say after Canelo Alvarez lost to Terence Crawford. He said that he had seen Canelo act before, and this performance was like how he usually does things. Canelo's usual style didn't work against Crawford, though. Lou says that Canelo couldn't enforce himself because Crawford's defense and reflexes were too quick, which stopped Canelo from hitting a clean punch or taking charge of the fight.
Too much ammunition, though. Too smart. What a technician.
Are you shocked or not?
Not at all. Not at all. That's how I pictured the fight going. So I'll picture the fight going that way. Man, impressive. You know what I mean? Coming up from all those weight divisions. Hit and don't get hit. That's the aim of the game. So it puts him differently in their list, but he's in everyone's list. You know what I mean? He's deserved his respect. He's one of the greats. And that Crawford name, that last name, that's written down in history. So good on him, bro.
Most watchers thought that his speed, timing, and wit, not his strength, caused him to lose. Crawford forced Canelo to miss, which put him in a difficult position and kept the fight moving in his favor. Canelo threw strong shots, but too many of them hit Crawford when he allowed himself to get close. That he capped this off. Canelo was physically ideal for his weight. Keith Thurman, who used to be the unified welterweight champion, said that Terence Crawford's performance against Canelo Alvarez was like a real fighting clinic. Thurman said it wasn't just a win. It was a display of outstanding fundamentals, timing, and calmness at the highest level.
Great fight. I was hoping that there was more action coming from Canelo. I'm used to Canelo fighting that way all the time. He tried his best. He always has trouble against movers. I was really expecting them to be more punches. more punches, more movement by Canelo. Yeah, I mean, it was a situation where he's, Terence Crawford's a tactician, and he throws combinations and he moves. And then, if you try and exchange with him, he's gone already. So you got to be fast. You got to punch him when he's punching you.
Many people doubted that Crawford, as a super middleweight, could handle Canelo's power and speed, but he proved them wrong. He also managed to keep the fight from starting to ending, which he praised.
Canelo boxed about many times, and I thought that this time he just boxed like he always boxes. And then I felt he couldn't really do nothing against Terence Crawford because Terence Crawford was too quick, too elusive. Anybody would find trouble with him, but Canelo couldn't find. For Canelo to win a round, I say he won about 3 rounds in that fight. I was actually amazed at the way how Terence Crawford moved and never got hit. And threw combinations, because that's what you're supposed to do, throw combinations. So he threw combinations. He wasn't trying to knock out Canelo, but he definitely was throwing a lot of punches, a lot of combinations.
Not only did Crawford's win change who held the titles, but it also changed the story of who the super middleweight king is. Canelo's future became unclear because of it. At 34 years old, he has been through decades of hard times. This loss may be a turning point for him, whether he comes back and rebuilds at a new weight or tries to get a repeat. He now has to face the fact that a fast, agile, and unbeaten opponent beat him in boxing on one of the sport's biggest stages. A question was asked of Terence Crawford about Canelo's huge punching power at super middleweight. Crawford calmed down when he knew the pictures of Canelo would be different from anything he had seen before. He stressed that he had dealt with tough guys before and thought he did a good job.
People, it's the morning after the big fight. Crawford Canelo. Shout outs to Crawford. You did it, boy. You did it. For those who still aren't quite sure what they witnessed last night, I'm gonna let you know that you witnessed what is called a notorious boxing clinic. This is everything done right.
Tim Bradley Jr. boldly addressed the stakes in the fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Bradley says that this fight is more than just a big deal. This event is crucial for Canelo's reputation. Bradley said that if Crawford lost, his image as Alvarez's standard bearer would be ruined because he had to move up many weight classes to take on the challenge.
This was a notorious hit and don't get hit. That's boxing 101, people. It's actually the definition of boxing. For those who don't know the definition of boxing, it's to hit and not get hit. It's almost like a game of tag, to simplify it for you folks, all right? And yes, Crawford was tagging him, not just with the jab, moving, but he was able to do another key factor, which is...
That's all there is to it. Tedeschi Bud Crawford did more than just win a fight. He changed history despite all the problems. Even though many people didn't believe him, he fought Canelo Alvarez and won, showing that greatness doesn't depend on weight. Boxing is known as the sweet science, and nights like these show why. The skill, heart, and history are all on full display. If you like how intense this fight is, please click like and share this movie with all the fight fans you know. Also, please share your thoughts below. What do you think Crawford's place is now among the greatest players of all time? Sign up and ring the bell because the next part of this sport is going to be even better, and you don't want to miss it.